But before you have a C of O, you need to have, if you have a development, then you need to have an approval of the building. So if there's no building plan approval, it's a major minus. It's a major, because the law states that before you erect a building, any development on, above, or on the land must have a development permit by the development authority responsible for that locale. So if the development that doesn't have a approved building plan is a major minus, and most likely you'll be penalized, and then you definitely have to get the approved building plan. If what was approved there, your building plan, was a story building, and again, some people honestly get inspired and move it up to 3-story building, and then you also need to be penalized. You have to be sure that that building is structurally sound for any ABIA or resident of ABIA to live there. So when you say with certification, you're talking about the land, but these other aspects come as a matter of procedure in getting that certification done with.
Okay, so still talking about commercial building. Do your people, do they actually go around to check? For instance, you approve this particular building for residential, and in the long run, the person changes it to commercial, maybe decides to
Are you talking about your building here?
I'm talking about buildings.
Let's use yours as an example.
Okay.
This station now, Flow, I hope you see you guys are listening. This station, yeah, you're using Flow. Where you are, do I understand this a temporary arrangement? By and large, you're moving to something, though here is beautiful. Now, you're saying this place, if originally was residential, and you want to continue using here as an office for this purpose, then you apply for change of use, purpose clause.
Okay.
And then I must tell the truth, I'll gladly support that, because one, what you're doing here is not a nuisance. You're not constituting any nuisance to the neighborhood. You're not developing lock-up shops that will bring in traffic that can constitute a traffic jam on this GRA road, and then it will be a wonderful arrangement, but you need to apply for change of use.
Okay, so for instance, in a building now that it's commercial, but they want to change the business they do there, do they still
like to,
you know, maybe it was originally approved for a restaurant.
Okay.
Maybe along the line they said, okay, we are not going to do restaurant again. We'll do maybe something else, but it's still commercial. Do they still have to go for ministry and all that?
If it's
or maybe they want to now change it to a radio station.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So
they can go ahead.
They can go ahead.
Okay.
But if it was something like a petrol station,
okay, that poses risk.
That poses risk, and that has specific specifications. It must have a land area. It must have, for example, you cannot build a petrol station or cooking gas refuel station in an area bounded by residential buildings.
Schools. What about schools? Maybe that we have around, say, primary school, secondary school for private ownership and all that. Maybe it was originally not approved for a school, maybe for a restaurant, but they decided to expand it to become a school.
Then they need to get an approval. They need to get authority, development authority responsible for that area to come and look at it and give them professional services as it relates to whether they qualify for that change.
So, like I was asking, for instance, you talked about the issue of a filling station.
Yes.
You know, when somebody, a place that is not supposed, but they go ahead and build a filling station, do your people go around to check all this?
Yeah, they do. And then I, for example, I remember, not just myself, many of the people who we've worked with, sadly, some people put on a greedy hat or maybe a local cap because the person is a kinfolk. You can't approve a filling station in an area that does not meet the standards. For example, you can approve a filling station in an area where you have a roundabout, because the trucks that go in there or come out from there either to discharge petroleum products, they will definitely constitute a roadblock in that area, and there must be sufficient setback from where you have the first pump from the edge of the road. So if that station, proposed station, does not meet those qualifications, then it should not be approved. I believe under this transparent administration, all those standards should be made known, so that somebody who has a property wants to develop, he will just go to the website and check, oh, I don't meet the qualification, and then maybe he applies for something else.
So if they go to the website,
no, I'm saying that's what we're going to do, because it's pertinent that people also should know.
Yeah.
Of course, people should ask. There are standards. There are standards. But we should make it easier for Abians and residents in Abia to residents in Abia to be able to access information.
All right. All these commercial buildings that we talked about, do they actually fulfill their obligation to government?
That's what we have. That's what we're doing now. Every owner of land, they must pay what you call the ground rent.
Okay.
Technically, nobody owns land; they occupy it. If you are, for example, a bank or maybe a restaurant, and then you've been staying in a place doing business and you've not paid your annual ground rent, if you look at the laws, actually that's enough ground to revoke that CFO. But that's not what the government wants to do. The government wants you to pay your annual rent.
But Pam said, this recertification, does it have a limited time where one can go and do the recertification, or is it endless?
The earlier the better for every individual, and the earlier the better. It's an ongoing thing, and then it's something you must do. And for those who would definitely tidy it up before the end of the month, most likely they would pay the old fees. There are new fees coming up, so the earlier you do it, the better for you.